The problem that I had was I was having a lot of stress with my exams, and I really didn't know how to balance that and then my relationship with my mother. Everything seemed to just be deteriorating around me, and I really needed some direction, some help as to, how am I gonna deal with everything. So I managed to kind of set myself a calendar to see how I was gonna juggle my exams. And then also I found that whilst I was anointing myself and anointing my mother whenever I would hug her and stuff, it was giving me more strength to kind of understand her, and it allowed our relationship to become a lot stronger. And now my mum is like my best friend. My exam results were amazing, and I'm just moving forward, and I'm really looking forward to receive another bottle of wine.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. Now in the UK, we have one of the highest rates of self-harming in the whole of Europe. And of course, we know that people who self-harm, whether they're youth or not, do so as a result of their state of mind. Whether they're depressed, whether they have insecurities about how they look, whether they have issues that haven't been dealt with that causes them to turn to self-harming as a way of escaping these issues that have never been dealt with. Now, when you speak about mental health issues, you're talking about a very broad problem that has to do with our mind. So you're talking about people who struggle with depression, panic attacks, anxiety, and also suicidal tendencies, suicidal thoughts. And all this usually stems from your state of mind. So my question to you tonight is, what is your current state of mind? It's very difficult for one to control their thoughts. It's very hard because you don't have to ask for negative thoughts to come to your mind. They come anyway. Now the trouble is, when you can't cope with so many negative things, this builds up and causes your life to turn upside down. And the thing is, you never know what someone is thinking. Sometimes you look at a person and they dress very nicely, they have a career going for them, things seem nice on the outside, but inside sometimes they are at breaking point. I remember a story when we first had the recession starting. A very successful man, a city trader, who had a huge house in the countryside with a family, horses, and a wife. All of a sudden he lost virtually everything, and the pressure was so much in his mind that I believe he killed his own family and set the house on fire. A terrible tragedy. And that is all because of the way that his mind couldn't cope with all those negative thoughts. And the way that you think has a very strong outcome in how your life is. So my question to you now is, how is your mind? What kind of thoughts do you have right now running through your mind? Have you been faced with thoughts of giving up? Have you been faced with thoughts of not wanting to live anymore, thinking that it's not worth being alive anymore? And the thing is, when you face yourself with these ideas, these thoughts, you think you're alone. That's another thing. You feel that you can't talk to anyone. Usually people who even consider doing something as crazy as taking their own lives, they think that they can't talk to anyone because no one will understand them. And sometimes just opening up to someone and externalizing those thoughts can be the first step in changing your life. Good evening, Alvaro. How are you?
How are you, James? I'm fine, thank you.
I think it's very difficult for people who struggle with all kinds of negative thoughts because they think that no matter who they speak to, no one can understand them.
Exactly. You were talking about an example, James. A gentleman was speaking to me a few weeks ago, and look how strong. He was speaking to a bank manager. Imagine going to the bank, so far, something very normal. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, maybe next week we can talk more about my account, so on and so forth. And look what happened. He was watching TV, and on the news, it appeared there, breaking news, and the name of the bank manager, and the news was, he shot himself in front of wife and kids. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? you were saying that we cannot read people's minds. So this man was thinking that the bank manager was 100% fine, you know, maybe he was there smiling, but putting on a mask. But in reality, he was at the point of suicide, ending his life, and he did it.
Yeah, and you know, our mind is a very powerful thing. I mean, think of all the things that we use now for granted. And that was our mind that created that,
Exactly.
right? You're watching us now through a digital platform, TV, that someone thought about that. But for all the strength that our mind has, our mind can also be very fragile, that if you can't cope and you don't know how to fight against these negative thoughts, you can reach a point where you can break up.
Exactly. And that's why we're here, to show people that they can overcome the situation. You know, some people, they say, is there any hope for me? I've tried so many things. I've been to places. Some people, they even invested their money in obtaining solutions. Well, we are here to show that, yes, there is hope for them. We can overcome this together. You know, myself and James, we are here live. If you want, you can give us a call. You can right now email us. You know, I have here the iPad ready to get the emails. We can help you right now on the spot. If you want to give us a call, the number is 0207 686 6300. 0207 686 6300, or help, is it help, not info? Help at findinganswers.tv.
That's right. And you know, put aside that idea that if you speak to someone, they're not going to understand you and they can't help you, because that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is to think that you have to go through something by yourself. Because for sure, what you are going through right now, someone has been through that and they have overcome it. And you only go through this problem by yourself if you want to. Only if you want to, only if you make the choice to go through that by yourself, because you do not have to go through that by yourself. So like Alvaro said, you can contact us here right now. We have a team of people to speak to you. You can speak to us live. And I'm sure that if you decide to fight back against the negative thoughts that are there in your mind, perhaps you have this idea that the best thing is for you to die. Maybe you think, if I put an end to my life today, then all my problems are solved. And you're making the biggest mistake of your life, because sometimes it seems like making a decision like that, a choice like that, is the best option, when actually it's the worst. You're not dealing with the problem, you're running away from your problem.
Exactly. You know, people, they think that ending their lives is the solution. We know many people, you know, every single day we talk to people. How many times they come and they say to us, I thought about ending my life, you know, during the week, but I didn't do it because of my wife and kids. You know, they always think about the kids, you know, the wife, you know, who they are going to leave behind. But the problem is, you know, they are so overwhelmed. They look around, they don't see solutions nowhere else. So what do? They say, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to end everything. And as we said before, you see, it's a thought. They don't really need to do it. But why is that thought so strong? Because they think that there is no solution out there. And as we said, we are here. We are ready here right now. It's live. We are ready to talk to you. Maybe right now you have just, you know, turned on your TV and you're wondering, what are these people talking about? Yes, we are talking about maybe your situation. Maybe you're right now feeling down, sad, depressed. You tried everything humanly possible, but still you don't know what to do. So we are here to help you, to talk to you, to give you advice. If you'd like, call us right now. The number is 0207 686 6300. 0207 686 6300.
And by the way, after the break, usually we have one guest here to tell you about their story, how they overcame their problem. Today, we have two guests, and you're going to see one of them struggled with what we were just talking about, the negative thoughts, how that put him down, how that influenced his life. But if he overcame, you can as well. We're going to go into a break and we'll be right back.
When we want to reach our goals, We research, act, and make sure we know everything there is to know about that topic. We study hard because that is the intelligent thing to do. This is the same for our development as a Christian. The Faith School is designed for those who want a degree in spiritual growth, those who want to separate time to study the Holy Bible and follow God's path for their life. There is no admissions fee and it's suitable for every level of learner. You will learn how to interpret the Word of God for your daily life and become stronger internally. Do you want to find inner peace and spiritual strength? Then this course is for you. The Faith School, every Wednesday at your local UCKG Help Centre. For more information, call 020 7686 6000 or visit our website uckg.org.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
Just before I go and speak to Ali and Solomon, who are here with me, just listen to this. I was reading today that men in the UK are 3 times more likely to be killed by suicide than women. Now, I don't know what you read into that, but for some reason, whether men are more pressured, whether they go through more, they're more pressurized by perhaps a demand from the family of bringing results to the table, but for some reason that happens. And before you reach that breaking point, it's important that you understand and you know that there is help, and we are here to help you. Remember that. Now, I want to introduce to you Ali and Solomon. Thank you for being on the program, guys. Now, Ali, we're going to start with you. I mean, we were talking about negative thoughts earlier. What about you? Did you struggle with that earlier in your life?
Yes. Growing up, I had a lot of complexes within myself. Reason being because I was bullied in primary school and also in secondary school. So this created lots of complexes. I wasn't able to look myself in the mirror, and when I did look at myself in the mirror, I thought I was not handsome. This created a lot of thoughts in my mind if I should go to school. So I used to skip lessons in school because I used to be because of the level of bullying. So this made me have complexes within myself. I stopped attending school, so I was failing also in school. So I had a a really big negative effect.
Did you ever speak to someone about this?
I spoke to counsellors, but they told me it was normal. So they just told me is the process as you're coming in, because you're surrounded by a lot of people, so you're going to feel singled out. But they told me it was part of the process, but it never really was.
When you went to school, when you dealt with people on the day-to-day basis, did you let that show that you had these complexes, or you tried to put on a front that this wouldn't affect you?
I tried to put on a mask. I tried to put the front because at that same time, I didn't want to be bullied. However, it's like I always found myself not fitting in to the crowd, even though I tried my very best by putting on the mask to fit into the crowd, but I just couldn't. Yeah.
So even though perhaps no one knew, but in your mind, in your head, you had all these thoughts, right? What kind of thoughts did you have in your mind? What would go through your mind at that time?
If I was a mistake in this world, if I was actually meant to live, if my life is going to remain like this forever, is there hope for me? Many different thoughts, even thoughts of suicide came across my mind as well. Because
so you thought about suicide?
Yeah.
I mean, people have different ways of coping with negative thoughts, right? You started to think about suicide, but did you ever try it?
No, I would be scared. I would be scared.
So what other way did you find to try to escape those negative thoughts, not to deal with them? Because that's what people do. They try not to deal with that negativity. What did you do?
I continued putting on the mask, and I got used to putting on that mask, where it became, I could say, it became like part of me. So I continued hanging around with the guys around the local community, and we began to get involved in like activities like robberies and things like that. And because I was someone that I had an anger problem at the same time as well, so because I had an anger problem, I was quick to fight. So if something was to happen, they knew they can call me, so they used to use me. They can call me to fight as well. So that's how I began to start fighting against them.
When you start robbing people, right? Did that give you a buzz?
Yes.
Did that make you feel more? Because you weren't confident before. So robbing people made you confident.
Yeah, because it felt like I was no longer being the victim. Now I can now victimize people. So I can take out the anger that I had within me and inflict it upon other people.
So this was not a way for you to solve the problem. This was a way for you to escape the problem. And this is something for you to note at home. You know, what are you doing now to deal with those negative thoughts you have? Do you force yourself to deal with them and overcome them, or do you turn to other things? For example, some people turn to drugs, to alcohol, to try to forget the negative thoughts. It doesn't solve anything, but they try to make sure that these thoughts disappear. But later they come back, right? When the buzz died out, did the thoughts come back?
Yeah, the buzz often died out when I reached home, and I'll be going through my issues. It's like, so what's gonna happen now? It's like the excitement just left.
How were things in your family, by the way? How were things at home?
There was always arguments. Mum and dad was always arguing. My mum had a suspicion that my dad was cheating on her. So there was always conflict at home, not having enough money to pay the bills. So as fights like nearly every day. So as far as I knew, for a good couple years, there was non-stop arguing. Day and night. So it was conflict.
So you had many reasons to have all these kind of negative thoughts, right? Because things weren't good at school, they weren't good at home, and later on you got involved into a very serious problem to try to escape the negative thoughts, which you'll tell us in just a few moments. What about you, Solomon? What's your story?
As to me, I can say like the greatest factor to negative thoughts is actually experiencing past hurts. When I was very young, 7 years ago, my mom passed away. And she didn't pass away just anyhow. It was quite a, if I can say, a heartless killing. And then obviously because of that case...
She was killed?
Yeah, she was killed.
Would you mind me asking how that happened?
Someone robbed her and they sort of cut her throat.
Really?
Because like she used to be like a local drug dealer and she was quite well known. This was back in my country in South America. And then from then on, I didn't know how to live a normal life.
So, I mean, when you heard about that must have been very shocking for you, right?
I remember like, at first, I didn't want to believe it, to be honest. And this is something that I can't really like what's the word? I can't really explain to someone that hasn't been through that situation. Because no words can express how I felt at that time. But I felt like no one knew me. I felt like I had no mom now, so.
Right.
It was,
Who did you have? I mean, your mom died. Who did you have with you
at that
point?
time, I had no one because my dad was living over in the UK, and I never used to see him just to get phone calls every 3 months, but I would never see him. So at that time, I had no one, and when she died, when she passed away, I believe I was going to be put into foster care with my siblings. So then that as well really hit my mind, and then.
So your mind started to think, look, probably I have no future, now I'm going to be put in foster care. I mean, you eventually came here to the UK,
yeah.
right? When you got here, how did you adapt? How did things go on for you?
And when I got here, I felt like I was the only one that never had a mom. I felt like I was the only one that never had that part of my childhood. So I kept these things to myself. I never ever explained it to anyone. I never actually opened up. So I kept it inside all along, and then it was always building up.
Why didn't you speak to anyone?
First of all, I felt like no one understood me. No one could really relate to me. So I would listen to music that would make me feel good for about a few minutes, and then next few minutes I'm still in that state of depression.
Okay. Let me just stop you there for a second. And by the way, you have a very powerful second part of your story, which I want to hear as well. But I just want to reinforce the point that he said, because he said, look, I was going through all these things, but in my mind, no one could understand me. No one, even if I were to speak to someone, they wouldn't know how to help me. Nobody would know what I was going through. And maybe that's what you think. These are the thoughts. We were talking about the negative thoughts. And that's why people reach breaking point, because there isn't an outlet to deal with the problem, right? I mean, when you started growing up, what did you do to try to cope with all these issues? Because you never really dealt with that, right?
No. I remember one night I actually sat by my bed and I had paracetamol in my hand, and I was just randomly crying, and I had that desire to actually take in that paracetamol and just commit suicide. But for some reason it didn't happen. And I spent times where I just end up in my kitchen looking and staring at the knife, thinking what to do, but then it just never happened. But what I did that was really something that I'm really ashamed of was I actually took that out on other people. So I used to go around sleeping around with girls.
You started sleeping around?
Yeah.
Right. I want to hear about that, because I know that turned into an addiction for you, right? But before that, I think we have an email that came through. Do you have the email there with you, Pastor?
Just now, a few seconds ago. It's from Sean Banks. Look how nice. Sean, very good evening. I'm going to read your email right now. Hi, I just landed on this channel, but I feel like I was meant to see this. I have a lot of negative thoughts all the time. I feel like I'm a failure. I don't really know how to deal with negative thoughts. One day I'm okay, next day I am not. I have a family, and I just keep thinking I'm going to let them down. It's a struggle to go through life like this. I feel like not living sometimes. I really need a strong prayer and how to think positively. Thank you.
Yeah, well, strong prayer really helps, and that's why we're going to be praying at the end of this program. But also, Pastor Alvaro, I think it's very important that we say at the end, I want to dedicate a couple of minutes at the end of the program to teach people how you can overcome negative thoughts. We're going to be teaching that at the end. Now, you said you started taking out your frustrations on other people by sleeping with them. Yeah. I mean, how bad did that become? Because I'm aware it became an addiction for you, right? Yeah. Tell us about that.
First of all, it became I started having thoughts, and then those thoughts became my desires, and then from then it was onto actions. So it was bad to a point. I believe that I got a girl pregnant when I was just 16, and at that time no one knew apart from me and her. My dad never knew, because if he knew, things would have even got much more worse. And I didn't have any control over what I was doing, to be honest.
Now, when you say you were addicted to sleeping around, how bad was that? I want you to give me an idea of how bad that was. Was it controlling your life?
Yes, it was, because I spent time where I would sleep around in the park. I had sexual intercourse in the cemetery.
In the cemetery?
Yeah.
Why in the cemetery? Was it just the place that was available at the time?
Honestly, thinking back now, it seems like it was so foolish of me, but then at that time, it made so much sense. And then when that desire kicked in, nothing else mattered, so.
Mm-hmm. Cemetery, the park.
Cinemas and buses, yeah.
It would be easier to ask you where you didn't sleep around, right? But the thing is, for you, I mean, you were doing, why, if you look back now, why were you doing that?
Honestly, I think like, for me, I had a void inside of me, and that could only be filled through things like sleeping around and listening to music. And at that time, that's what I was doing. But obviously, it never actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like, it only worked for about, what, 3 seconds, and then a few minutes after, I'm back in that same state.
So for a few moments, those negative thoughts would disappear, right?
Yeah.
But then they would flood right back. So would you feel the same or even worse?
Even worse, because first of all, I would feel guilty of what I did, and I would want to obviously take that off my mind as well, so by doing the same thing over and over again.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there for a moment because we're going to go into a break, but I want to just say something to you at home, and also especially you that sent your email. What's the name again, Pastor? Sean Banks, right?
Yes.
Sean Banks. You know, the thing is, I understand where you're coming from, that these thoughts, these negative thoughts you have, they go and they come back, but the truth is, at some point, you're going to have to deal with them. You can't keep running away from them or wishing them to disappear because they don't disappear just because you wish them to disappear. It was the same thing with Ali and Solomon that had these outlets for the bad thoughts, but they would just come back because they never dealt with them. And we will teach you, don't go anywhere, because at the end of this program, we're going to teach you how to overcome these negative thoughts. And plus, we'll be making a special prayer, strong prayer on your behalf. After the break, we're going to hear what the people of London have to say about negative thoughts, negativity, and we're going to hear the final part of the story of Ali and Solomon. And if you want to speak to us throughout this program, whether during the break or whenever it is, if you want to speak to someone, the number to call is 020-7686-6300, or send us an email, as we did with Sean. We'll be reading your email here as well if you want. The email address is help@findinganswers.tv. We'll be right back.
For thousands of years, olive oil has been used for anointing as an act of faith. When you use the blessed anointing oil, it's like turning on a beacon of light and sending out an SOS signal for divine intervention to resolve issues that you otherwise couldn't solve on your own. It's a sign to God that you require special attention in a time of need. Join us on 3 special days where you'll not only receive your very own set of 3 anointing oils in a box set free of charge, but you will learn how you can use them for inner healing, protection, and direction. For more information, visit uckg.org or give us a call on 020 7686 6000. What would you do if you had to protect a great treasure? If the answer is obvious when it comes to material wealth, it should be even more obvious when the treasure is greater: your marriage. In Bulletproof Marriage, the couple Renato and Cristiane Cardoso offer solid guidance to those who appreciate the value of their relationship and want to shield it against the risk of divorce. Besides their years of counselling thousands of couples, Renato and Cristiane present the hugely successful TV show The Love School, as well as marriage courses around the world. In over 2 decades, they have lived in 3 countries and have given hundreds of talks in more than 30 countries. Speaking from their long and sometimes troubled marriage experience, the couple offer practical tips to protect current and future relationships. To order your book online or for more information on the Love School event 2014, visit our site, theloveschoolevent.com. This event was brought to you by the UCKG Help Centre.
Welcome back. I think this video here will help us illustrate better how negative thinking causes problems in our day-to-day lives. Have a look.
Is your state of mind affecting your health and well-being in a negative way? Can negativity create illness? Stress. We've all felt it. Sometimes stress can be a positive force, motivating you to perform well in some situations. But often it's a negative force, and if you experience stress over a long period of time, it could become chronic to your well-being. So how does it affect us? Well, have you ever found yourself with sweaty hands when in a job interview, or felt your heart pound during a scary movie? We all have this, and this is a clear sign that what goes on inside our mind has a direct effect on our body. Now, when you feel stressed or negative emotions, stress hormones such as cortisol and epinephrine are released, and they have undesirable effects on your health and well-being. So why are we getting so stressed? Well, stress is a word we hear often these days. There are numerous factors that can relate to stress, and it's different for everyone. Stress is experienced on a daily basis and often does not serve a purpose. We are confronted with multiple challenges every single day, such as meeting deadlines, paying the bills, and looking after children or dealing with challenges at work. So what is the connection between mind and body? The longer that you feel stressed, the worse it is for both your mind and your body. When stress travels from your mind to your functioning body, there is a whole world of symptoms and feelings released. You might feel tired, unable to concentrate, or just irritable in general. This is stress taking its toll on the body, and it does not serve a purpose.
Welcome back. I'm going to show you the second part of that video a little bit later. Now, Ali, going back to you then started to try to find an escape for these negative thoughts you had, the complexes, which, by the way, why did you have the complexes? Why did you start to have all these negative thoughts about yourself?
Because of what I used to be told when I was being bullied at secondary school. I used to get told that I was a black monkey, various racist comments. So this created a lot of doubts in my mind, and I used to think that I actually was like that because of what they told me from young.
So not dealing with the problem, what did you try to do instead to try to forget about the problem?
Okay, so apart from hanging around with guys that I used to see on the street, I began to scroll the internet, and I came across something called pornography. And this, at first, I never really paid much attention to it because I knew something wasn't quite right. Because I used to see it, and I used to see various different things, and it was like, okay, am I actually supposed to see this? But then it's like I kept being entertained, I kept looking deeper and deeper, and this actually became addiction. An addiction that was quite severe, to the point where I used to leave class early to come home and watch pornography. Times that I couldn't leave class, I used to download it the day before to watch, go to the toilet, watch. So it was a lot of things. It polluted my mind and various things like that.
So this became like a regular thing for you, right?
Regular, day and night.
Right. I mean, what did that do anything good for your self-esteem?
Well, it was a way of thinking, okay, I may not fit into society, but at least I can do something. I can watch pornography. So it was like, it was disturbed.
But actually, we all know, studies show that pornography twists people's mind to what the reality of sex is, what the reality of a relationship is, because it's nothing like you see there on the movies. So if you had negative thoughts, watching this gave you even more negative thoughts, because it made you have a twisted idea of what relationships were like.
And it also changed the way I saw women as well. Because I grew up, and my mom taught me to respect women. Because of what I'll be seeing in the videos is like, okay, so women are just there to have sex with. Women are just there to be used. So that twisted, it tarnished the mindset of what I had towards women.
Right. So tell me something. How did you come to the church? How did coming to the church also help you to become a different person, to overcome those negative thoughts? Okay,
so I got invited by my mom to come to the church, and so I was coming, and at first I was hearing, but I wasn't really paying much attention because I was thinking about pornography and the various problems that I was going through. However, when they told me, if you don't make a decision, you're going to waste your life doing the various things that I was going through, watching pornography, hanging around with guys on the street. So as I was hearing that, and I kept hearing it, when I was going to do the things outside, the first thing that will come into my mind is what I heard when I came to the church. So it's like my conscience will be bombarded. Conscience will be bombarded. So I decided one day to, okay, I don't know God, but I want to know God. I heard that He exists, so I decided to put Him to practice.
And actually, what was happening without you realizing is that by coming to church, you were replacing the negative thoughts with good ones. Maybe that never really crossed your mind at that time, but it's like you were taking all the rubbish that existed in your mind, and you were receiving new things, new ideas, new thoughts that made you change, right? I mean, who are you today? How is your life today? Are you a different person, the same person?
Completely transformed in a sense where I don't have to entertain myself with those kind of foolish things anymore. My mindset and how I see women is completely different. I no longer see them as objects. I have self-esteem within myself. I'm confident. I'm here to speak on live TV. I don't have to try to fit into the crowd anymore. I'm confident within myself. I know who I am.
Were you able to speak on live TV before? If you were,
no, I
had
was
been invited?
shy. I was, there was a lot of things that was going on.
So today you're free from all that.
Free.
How, if we took an X-ray of your head, your mind, what kind of thoughts would we find there?
You're going to find thoughts about my education, about my relationship with God, about my finances, good things that will profit.
So no more negative thoughts about yourself,
No,
your looks, your appearance, nothing like that.
I know I look good. I know I'm handsome.
Okay. What about you, Solomon? I mean, you had this twisted relationship with sex and with women. How did you come to the church? How did you change?
Funny enough, I was invited by my ex-girlfriend, and then she brought me to church, I think on a Wednesday. And ever since that day, I actually never stopped coming. Because I think on the first meeting, it was very different. Like the way the pastor spoke and like what he said to me, I felt like it related to me. To a point where after the meeting, I actually came and spoke to the pastor and I said, look, I'm going through so-and-so. And he was very understanding. He actually understood me. And even though I thought no one understood me, he understood me. And from that day on, I took literally every word seriously. From time of making a decision, stop doing the old things of the past, stop living in my old life. So obviously I sort of have to let go of my old life so I can receive a new life, and that's what I did.
You know, a lot of people will say, Solomon, what does sleeping around have to do with all these negative things that are going in your mind? And it has a lot, because what you were doing is you were finding an excuse or something for you to be so busy with that you would never allow yourself to deal with the real problem. And coming to the church forced you to deal with the real problem, which were the things that were going through your mind. And how was it easy or difficult for you to overcome this negativity?
It was very difficult because even though I didn't say it today, but I faced the point where I actually ran away from home because I didn't want to face anything in my life. I didn't want to face any of the problems. So it was a point that I actually got up in the middle of the night. I just ran away. And I ran away from my family. And ever since I ran away, I actually never saw them for a year. So
where did you go?
At first, I was just walking around in the streets. And then I ended up in social care. They tried to counsel me. It never really worked. They would ask questions, but I wouldn't truly open up.
So you running away was a byproduct of how your mind was. Your mind was so clogged up with negativity that you said, I'm going to run away. Right? You didn't want to deal with the problem. Same thing of people who are watching us now and say, listen, the solution for me is to die. The solution for me is to move to another country. The solution for me is to find another woman, another man, another job. But the truth is you never really deal with the problem. And the solution is to deal with the problem. Guys, I want to thank you for being on the program. I'm sure that your story is helping a lot of people. I believe we have a live caller on the line. Hi, good evening. Our live caller is just gone, no problem. Now, Alvaro, the solution for someone to overcome this negativity, people who feel like it's not worth living anymore and so on, is never to run away, right? What do people have to do?
Exactly. They have to face the reality, James. They have to really, look at the situation and say, I can handle it. I can overcome it. And I can say that I used to have problems like this. I used to think that There was no solution for me, for my family. My father the same. And look how strong. My father had this kind of mentality, and I also inherited this from him. Because I used to see him running away from the situation, and I started doing the same. But when I came to church, I learned that I had to face it. I had to fight back, not just say, there is nothing I can do. This is something that I started doing, and eventually I overcame the situation.
I think we have the caller on the line again. Let's try to speak to him or her. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, who am I speaking to?
It's Oliver. My name is Oliver.
Oliver, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to vouch for Saloman, actually. I remember the first day that he first entered the church. It was with his girlfriend, obviously his ex-girlfriend now. And he was a complete mess, an absolute mess. And when he first came, he was suffering a lot of problems. Everything that he said was is the truth. And today, I can actually say that he's a man of inspiration. He's a guy that actually helps a lot of young people in the area of his work. Okay. And I've seen the changes that have been in him, and it's all absolutely true. It's a fantastic change that's happened within him, and also Ali as well. So maybe if anybody's watching this program, especially the guy who's sending that email, if they're watching the program and thinking that this is all just a show, it's actually not. I'm actually one of the people that can say that I've seen the changes, day in and day out inside of them, and they're not putting on a show. Solomon's not putting on a show. It's all absolutely true.
Okay, so you knew Solomon before and you know him now?
Yes, I saw his, from when the day that he entered the church, that was the first day that I saw. And since then, I've seen him. I knew his behavior.
I think the line is quite bad. We're going to have to leave it there. Oliver, thank you so much for calling, but we had to cut your call short because the line isn't great. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, remember, we're going to tell you how you overcome negative thoughts. Is your mind clogged up with negativity? Do you want to know how to overcome it? When we come back from the break, we're going to tell you, and we're going to watch the second bit of that video as well. We'll be right back.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away, and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. A Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
As promised, in just a few moments, we're going to be telling you what the secret to overcoming negative thoughts is. But for now, have a look at the second part of this video.
If you feel stressed or negative emotions creeping in, then there are some actions you can take for your well-being. Number 1, the source. Try to identify what's causing stress. Learn to recognize quickly and clearly what it is that's making you upset. Stop and ask yourself what has triggered this stress. Relationships. Well, everybody knows that relationships can be a source of stress, and research has found that negative, unstable reactions with your spouse can mediate changes in stress-sensitive hormones. On the other hand, sometimes relationships can be a buffer for stress. So, in those cases, you can reach out to family members or close friends and let them know how you're feeling. Perhaps they'll have a clearer perspective on where your stress is coming from. Another way to combat stress is exercise. Walking, running, or any other physical activities can help you let off steam when you're feeling highly strung. Exercise increases the production of endorphins, your body's natural mood booster, which means it helps to dispel the negative thoughts and in turn protects your well-being. Sleep, easier said than done. Stress keeps more than 40% of adults lying awake at night. It's not always easy to fall asleep when you have so much on your mind, but it is definitely detrimental to your health. Ideally, a healthy individual should get at least 8 hours sleep a night. Now, if this isn't you, then you've got to make some changes in your life. Cut back on the caffeine drinks, the coffee, tea. Don't watch too much TV or use your computer too close to bedtime, and try and go to bed at the same time each night. Research shows that exercise not only helps reduce stress, but also boosts immune functioning and gives you a better quality of life in general. Evidence shows that there is no doubt whatsoever that the mind impacts the body. In fact, your mind is affecting your body right now. Most of the time, we just don't notice it until it manifests itself in a physical way. So be good to your body, be mindful of what's brewing inside, and give yourself the best chance in life.
So you just saw there some practical advice on how to feel better, right? How to have more positivity. But I want to give you now a different kind of advice. And think with me, imagine that this glass, I hope you can see this glass. Maybe this camera can zoom in on the glass, please, while I speak into this camera. That's great. Maybe this glass, imagine it's your mind, your brain, and it's full. We didn't fill it more so it doesn't tip over, but imagine your mind is full of negative thoughts. How do you overcome it? That's a question. How do you overcome the negative thoughts? Imagine you have there the thoughts that nothing's going to work, that nobody loves you, that all these kind of things that Ali and Solomon had in their mind. How do you get rid of it? Very simple. Alvaro, please come here. So now I have here a second glass, and this glass is empty. For you to be able to exchange the negative for the positive, you need to do this. You need to empty your mind from all the negativity so that it can become empty and ready for the positive things that are about to come in. Now, James, that sounds great. How do I do it though? I like the idea, but what do I do? That's where the strong prayer comes in. That's where God comes in, because sometimes there are some negative thoughts you can get rid of by yourself. Other times you need God's help. By the way, Alvaro, we're going to share the water here because we're going to do the prayer, right?
Thank you.
And if you want to do that, then I want to invite you. Prepare your glass with water. We're going to make a strong prayer right now to cast out this negativity that's in your mind. And by the way, that's why the church is open every single day so that we can pray for you and help you to be free from whatever negativity is there in your life. So let's prepare ourselves for the prayer. Ali and Solomon will be joining us here in a few moments as well. We're going to ask God to clear your mind of all the negativity that is there. Let's talk to Him.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer for your general well-being, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My God, we ask you right now, I know that there are many people watching us, they heard the subject and they are struggling with thoughts. They've tried to overcome it. They've been to places. Maybe this person has even spent money trying to overcome this situation. But unfortunately, my Lord, only failure has come to this life. I ask you, my Lord, right now, that you may go to the mind of all these people. And just as James was showing here, my Lord, emptying the glass. I know that humanly speaking, it's not possible, but with you, all things are possible. So now penetrate in this mind, this person who is depressed, suicidal, this person who is right now, who has just turned on her TV, and is looking at us, feeling down, sad. My God, remove these negative thoughts. this negative idea from this mind. Please, my God, in the name of Jesus, do for this person what no one else was able to do. And instead of this thought of low self-esteem, this thought of hopelessness, this idea that there is no more chance, it's pointless to live, right now may you fill this mind with hope, with the assurance that this life is going to change. Answer these people, I ask you, my Lord, in Jesus' name.
Yes, and we give an order to all the negative ideas,
Yes.
the negative thoughts that controlled this mind. We give an order to all the thoughts of depression, suicide, of giving up, that life is not worth it anymore. We command these thoughts to get out of this person's mind right now. My God, when this person drinks of this water, let their mind be purified. Let this person be free, and let them enjoy the same transformation that Ali and Solomon went through. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You may now drink this water there where you are. I know that perhaps when you watched that example we gave of the water, it made a lot of sense, but you said to yourself, it can't be that simple. It makes sense, but I don't think it can work for me. And the thing is, that's the formula. That's how it works. Perhaps what you need is a hand to hold you and show you the way. And that's why we are here every night from 11 o'clock to midnight. And if you at any point want to speak to someone, you can even do that now over the next few minutes. We're still going to be, our team is still going to be ready to speak to you. You can still do that now or even tomorrow. But be sure to know this, that if it is possible to be negative, it is also possible to be positive. Yes. And that starts with learning how to use your faith. Okay? We'll be back with you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.